Hello my friends and welcome, my name is Dennis and this is the latest update from Ukraine. Putin failed with his winter campaign. Yes, indeed, all of the Russian main goals are unachievable for this winter. And let's review more precisely why. Firstly, let's go to the northern part of Ukraine, the Kupiansk city and the Kupiansk region. The main plan and the main direction for the Russian assault was near to Sinkivka and Liman-Pershi. They want to go to Kupiansk and take the city under control. It's a very important one because it has the crossroad and also it creates the bridgehead behind the Oskil River. But Russians were incapable even to take Sinkivka village under control. It's a very small village, but it opens the way potentially to Kupiansk. They had countless of the attacks towards Sinkivka and all of those failed. Moreover, the last week Ukraine performed a counterattack, gaining more ground and pushing Russians away to Liman-Pershi. It means that with the current Ukrainian defense in the area, Russia is unable to advance to Kupiansk in a close perspective or in a middle perspective, let's say. If they want to proceed with the same mid-wave tactics as they did in Sinkivka, they need several times more soldiers and armored vehicles. So what they might achieve during this winter campaign is to take Sinkivka under control maximum. They are unable to proceed to Kupiansk. And taking just one small village with all of those forces that were wasted is clearly not a win. But even that task hasn't been achieved by the Russian army yet. Russia also tried to advance in Yahidne and from this place, but here Ukraine also performed a counterattack, taking more ground. There were also some fights on the south from Kupiansk, but they were not very significant. The main goal for Russia on the north is still over here, but it seems like they are failing with that operation. However, some of the sources predict that on 15th of January, Russia would start the massive counterattack towards Kupiansk, accumulating many of the forces in the region. So we're gonna see, but my prediction that nothing would come out from that attack. Let's go down to Liman direction near to Lysychansk. Here Russia also performed some sort of the attacks. They tried to advance towards Terny, and here definitely they took some of the ground, but still were unable to go to those lakes. So Ukraine still has the defense quite robust in the area, not letting Russians to go to the settlements. So again, no result for the Russian army. In Bilohorivka, Ukraine took some of the ground. In Bakhmut area, Russia has the biggest advancement during the winter campaign. During the summer campaign, the fights were in Berhivka, and you may see how Russia pushed our forces out, taking one settlement, Hromove, under their control. But still they are unable to achieve their goals, taking Klishivka back or Andriivka. So even with this largest attack, they took just one small village of Hromove. That's it. And here we go with the biggest Russian failure of Avdiivka. For the third month, they continued to storm this town in attempt to encircle it or take it under control. And yes, Russia advanced over here from Krasnogorivka in the north and over here as well, but they haven't taken any kind of the settlements under their control. I mean new villages or something like that. Ukraine continued to defend the city even though this task is very complicated. First of all, because there's mainly one supply line that connects Avdiivka to other Ukrainian territory. And the main goal for Russia is obvious, to cut this supply line. That's why they assault mostly from the northern part. But still they are unable even to take Stepovo village under control. Around 3 weeks ago, the Bild analytic Rubka said that Russia took this village under control, but no, it was the fake information. By the way, today the same analytic says that winter campaign of the Russian army fails, and indeed it is. Nevertheless, the General Commander Zaluzhny predicts that Russia would finally take this town under control, but it might happen in 2 or 3 months. So after the winter is over, for Putin it's critical to take this town under control before his elections in March. And I believe that it will not happen by that time. Some call Avdiivka as the second Bakhmut, but I wouldn't call it like that. Without the Wagner army, Russians are very slow in their achievements. We have many of the stories of how Russians just leave their positions in Avdiivka in fear. because they sent more mobilized soldiers. By the way, this is the Avdiivka direction today. The Russian Salzburg artillery system shows us the great firework. It's always spectacular to see how this system is kaboomed because it carries lots of the explosive shells, so the firework is great as usual. Awesome celebration of the defeat of the Russian forces near to Avdiivka. But it doesn't mean that they are totally defeated. No, they will continue to push again and again with their mid-wave tactics, which brings them lots of the losses. From Avdiivka, let's go to Marinka, to the biggest Russian achievement recently. So the fights for this small town or the village were ongoing for the few years. And finally, a few weeks ago, Russia took the settlement, or what is left from it, because it's totally grounded. The achievement for the Russian army was so important that Shoigu himself reported directly to Putin in his cabinet that Marinka is taken by the second army in the world. Yes, a single village is occupied. What an achievement. Now Russia wants to expand this bridgehead and also proceed to Kurakhove, but not in a nearby perspective for sure. They also tried to advance to Novomikhailivka, but recently Ukraine performed the counterattack, throwing Russian forces away from this settlement also. From Novomikhailivka, let's go to Vuhledar, the cemetery of the Russian army. During the last winter campaign, they buried lots of the vehicles and soldiers in this direction, and you know what? The general responsible for this attack was promoted. I would promote him too for this stupid operation. After it, Russia had few of the attempts in taking Vuhledar under control, and all of them failed. So Vuhledar still holds. Why is it the pain in the ass for the Russian army? Because Ukraine put the artillery systems nearby and they target the railway connection in this area over here. So Russia is unable to use this connection line safely, and you know Russian army is always about the railroad connection. It is their favorite way of transportation of their forces. All of this vast area between Orikhiv and Vuhledar has no any changes for the few months. No significant fights are happening. The Orikhiv direction and Robotyne village. Here Russia tries to get more ground. They were quite successful in taking some of the fields, but Robotyne still holds. So I wouldn't say that they have huge achievements in this place. By the way, today I read the article from the Business Insider that Zaluzhny was planning the attack operation, the counterattack in Zaporizhia direction in 2022. So instead of advancing in Kharkiv Oblast or in Kherson, Zaluzhny wanted to conduct the massive attack towards the Russian positions in this place and maybe also near to Vuhledar. The ambitious goal was to go to Crimea, and by that time this operation had all the chances to be successful. According to Business Insider, American advisors say that this mission is very risky and it's better to advance in Kharkiv and Kherson Oblasts. Well, now it is a history and it's hard to say how it could have been. We see that Ukraine was capable to liberate almost all of the Kharkiv Oblast and vast part of the Kherson, including the Kherson city itself. And here it could have been a great success or maybe a great failure. But that time Russia hadn't had any kind of the robust defense lines, so maybe Ukraine would have the success going to Crimea. I think that it is better to concentrate on challenges that we have right now. And probably our favorite direction, the Kherson Oblast, where Ukraine was capable to create several of the bridgeheads across the Dnieper River. Russia tries to eliminate those bridgeheads in constant failed attempts. Just yesterday I showed you one more failed Russian attack on Krinky village. It is a total disaster for the Russian army out there. And the most interesting thing that Ukraine doesn't have any kind of the tanks or heavy armored vehicles to withstand against the Russian attacks. All of the job is done by our Marines, and they use FPV drones, and also artillery on the other shore helps a lot. There are no any signs that Russia would achieve their goal eliminating those bridgeheads during this winter campaign. We are at the equator of the winter almost, and after reviewing all the parts of the front lines, all the spots where Russia wants to advance, I would say that they have already failed with their winter attack plan. If nothing bad happens to Ukrainian army, Russia will not be able to achieve their goals at all. There could be just the minor fluctuations of the front lines, that's it. The Russian Federation city of Orel, the oil depot, was targeted by the drones. Wow. Ukraine has developed several types of the long-range drones and effectively used them to target the Russian infrastructure on the Russian territory. However, Ukraine is still unable to produce those drones massively, as for example, Iran produces the Shahed drones. Sorry, I can't delete this watermark that is blocking the image, but anyways, this is the result of the drone attack on the Russian oil depot in Orel city. Awesome news, France will supply 85 more Scalp cruise missiles to Ukrainian army. Before they supplied 50, now 85 more. Great. It means that Ukraine will be able to reach many of the Russian positions far behind the front lines. Alright, it seems to be one more Russian failed attack near to Robotyne. This time I already lost in all of those attack attempts. Here you may see the Russian T-72 tank that was targeted by the anti-tank missile and totally kaputted. Great job by Ukrainian defenders stopping all of the Russian assaults. There are some important talks between the producers of the weaponry and the American officials. There was the meeting with the White House administration, and the topic is very interesting. Supporting Ukraine's access to cutting-edge US equipment. Wow. Based on this information, I think that the White House administration expects that the main deal for the Ukrainian military support would be agreed very soon by Senate, so they are looking for the way out to supply the up-to-date, very modern weaponry to Ukraine. Great news. CNN has reported that the chief of Pentagon, Lloyd Austin, was diagnosed with cancer. He was hospitalized in the medical facility, so probably his deputy is performing the duties. It seems like Britain also expects the long-term war in Ukraine. At least some of their officials, including David Cameron, who is now the Minister of the Foreign Affairs of UK, says that they are ready to support Ukraine throughout many years. He mentioned 2026, 2027, 2028. My friends, don't forget to press a big like to this video. By doing so, you help me a lot. Also, if you want to support my job, there will be some of the links in the video description just below for you to do so. Special thanks for my Patreon supporters and the sponsors of my YouTube channel. Guys, you are awesome. Thank you so much for your kind support. Guys, I wish you all a peaceful sky wherever you are and have a great time.